Hello everyone, Danny here today to talk to you about one of the better marriage books out there. This is a book that I got a couple of years ago and I have listened to at least once per year since I got it. It's easy to listen to, it's well written, so it's an enjoyable listen. It's narrated by the author who does an excellent job of narrating his own book. His narration adds to the book. It is also very informative and very thought-provoking. However, before I get into the book, I have a favor to ask. If you're like me and you love audiobooks, please subscribe to my channel. Turn on notifications. Join me in my audiobook journey. Now, the book that I'm talking about is The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. What I love about this book, there are lots of books out there that address love. There's even one of my favorites, Love and Respect, or The Language of Love and Respect, that addresses issues of love and issues of respect. But all of the books on the issue of love approach it very one-dimensionally. Whereas what this book does is this book approaches it multidimensionally. It doesn't treat love just as something that you say, but rather Dr. Chapman, who is a marriage counselor and has been counseling people and has learned through his working with people and through his studies about the different languages of love, and that there's not just one love language. There are, in fact, according to his studies, 5 different love languages. But even then, within those 5 different love languages, there are multiple different dialects, just like you have the English language, and then you have multiple dialects within the English language. You have the Spanish language and multiple dialects within the Spanish language. I've worked with a lot of South Americans, and in talking to them, how do you say this? Oh, well, I'm from Guatemala, I say it this way. Whereas I'm from Mexico, I say it this way because they speak a different dialect. And that's really why this book can be listened to over and over and over again. If it was just a simple 5 love languages, you'd learn the 5 love languages: words of encouragement, gifts, acts of service. But within each of those, there's the different dialects. And you may be speaking the broad language that your spouse speaks, but if you're using the wrong dialect, just like if I was using, Guatemalan Spanish, versus Mexican Spanish, or, Spanish from the European country of Spain, there'd be some miscommunication that could occur there, and your spouse doesn't end up fully getting the message. I have allergies. Forgive me here. Sorry about that. With each chapter, now the book starts off, and Dr. Chapman wants you to figure out what your own personal love language is, and to start with yourself and work outward. I think I know what my love language is, to tell you the truth. That's one that I'm like 90% sure, but not 100% sure on. And it's because I've always had my love language spoken to me by my family, by my spouse. I've never felt unloved. So if I'm correct, then this is the language they're speaking. But they do all sorts of other stuff for me too, so it could be something else and I'm completely missing the boat. Either way, I'm good. Plenty of love coming my direction. I'm very, blessed and fortunate that way. However, I do want to get better at speaking my wife's love language. I do want to get better at speaking my children's love language. Now my oldest is married. My middle son just became engaged. I have daughter-in-laws. I want to figure out their love languages so I can speak their love language and draw them into our family more. And I want to learn the different dialects and the different things like that. So then it starts, figure out what your love language is. Then it takes each love language and it breaks it down. And you can listen to that chapter, listen to that love language, and sometimes you go, oh, that is so total. I mean, the first time I heard, the language of giving, I was like, that's my brother-in-law, Dan. To a T, that is my brother-in-law, Dan. It just stands out. Sometimes the people, you really got to think about it. But I like to take each chapter and then think about the different people in my life and see who I can figure out that applies to. It'll break down dialects. He'll give examples of people who he's counseled, and their problem was the language, and they one or both of the partners in the marriage felt unloved, even though they both deeply loved each other and wanted a deep, intimate relationship. They were speaking the wrong language. And then he gives exercises to work on that love language. Exercises to do with your spouse to figure out, hey, if this is your language, how can I better speak this to you? Or if it's my language, how can you better speak it to me? I've never actually listened to this book with my wife, but it would be a wonderful book for a couple to listen to together, wonderful for us to listen to together. It gives a lot of exercises and things to do. At the end of the book, he addresses a really interesting question. Can you love someone that you hate? And he gives a story of a woman who's been so mistreated by her husband that she hates him. And she went to Dr. Chapman and can you love someone that you hate? And I don't think I can love my husband. And the advice that he gave her, and the difference, it wasn't something that fixed her marriage overnight, but it did eventually fix her marriage. And then what to do if you find yourself in that particular situation. He is a Christian. He does reference the Bible and biblical values, but as I've said before, honestly, the best relationship books out there are biblically based. If you want a rock solid, happy, intimate marriage, make it a scripturally based one. And don't let what other people tell you, other people's interpretation, because people will tell you that, well, the Bible says the husband should be above the wife, and that's bullcrap. That's not remotely close to what the Bible says, and they're misunderstanding the scriptures. Get your advice from people who understand it, like Dr. Chapman, not from people who don't understand it and don't have a clue what they're talking about. That's like going to, the 500-pound couch potato to get advice on how to lose weight, and him telling you that, well, eating healthy and exercise just doesn't work. It's really bad for you. There's all the, why would you go to him? Go to someone who knows, like Dr. Chapman. If you like my video, hit the like button. If you like my channel, subscribe. Turn on notifications. Questions, comments, feedbacks, please put them in the comment section. But most importantly, no matter what else you do today, please make sure that you listen to at least one really good audiobook. And I highly recommend The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. Thank you.